The delay device is a classic audio effect that creates patterns of spatial echoes from its input, which can be used both creatively and for more practical mixing purposes. The multitap delay is a more complex version of this, with additional filtering and routing options. Both effects feature independently controllable left and right delay channels that can work within two different modes. In the default unsynced mode, the delay timings are freely changeable with the delay sliders, which directly set the length of the left and right delays in a range from 1 millisecond up to 2 seconds. The play after line parameters can be used to select and then manually set a delay length. The values are the amount of lines in the pattern editor that the left and right delay echoes are played after. When set, the slider is automatically moved to the correct delay timing, calculated according to the song's tempo. In the alternative line sync mode, the set buttons disappear because the delay timings are always linked to the song's tempo through the play after line values. This means that when altering these in the device, or changing the song's beats per minute or lines per beat values, the delay lengths will be instantly adjusted to be correct. However, the delays can be offset from that correct timing through the use of the sliders, whose function has changed in this mode. You'll probably have noticed that, regardless of the mode, any parameter changes affecting the delay length produce a quick scrubbing sound, simulating a classic tape delay speed change. The feedback parameters control the amount of diminishing feedback that occurs on each of the delays, altering the number of echoes that are produced. 0% means that the delay will only be heard back once, while at 100% it will keep repeating forever. The send parameter controls the volume of the source audio that is sent to the delays, where the maximum value of 0 dB is the same volume as the input sound. The output pan sliders control the panning position of the left and right delay outputs. This can be especially important for stereo inputs when you want to break away from the default, where the left and right channels of a waveform will be kept to those sides. This may not be desirable though, so the output pan sliders can be used to place the delay output in a different position from the input. Common uses of this feature include panning the outputs to the centre to create a mono echo, or a left-right swap where the echoes appear on the opposite sides from the input. Techniques such as this can be very useful to fill out the spatial character of a mix. The final feature found on the regular delay is the Mute Source button. When toggled on, it will silence the dry source audio, leaving only the delayed echoes produced by the effect.
Your ghost keeps on pushing.
The multitap delay can craft complex delay effects by using up to 4 individual stages, or taps, that can be fed audio from both the original input sound and the previous tap. Aside from the mute source toggle, which has been moved up here, all of the parameters are stored together as a set for each individual tap. So changes made to the parameter values in one tap do not affect those of another. This is true for the basic options and the additional controls. We've already covered many of these earlier in the video, and they function identically here as well, except for a few changes. First, the maximum delay length has been raised to 5 seconds, a necessary increase to allow discrete echoes across the various taps. It's also worth knowing that very low values cause the echoes to merge, allowing you to build stereo expansion style effects. Obviously this can be done with the standard delay, but the multitap allows the customizing of much more interesting results. The second change is that the feedback sliders can now use values below 0, creating a negative version of the waveform. We've covered this concept in other videos, but there's an additional factor here that's worth paying special attention to. When the feedback has a negative value, the first echo is unaffected. Then the waveform is inverted as it is fed back into the device. Now remember, the inversion is applied to each echo. So as long as the feedback is negative, the waveform will flip back and forth from positive to negative. This won't be important for most people, but for busy and complex delays, you may want to be aware of any potential phasing issues. Or you might want to wield this feature creatively. The send parameter of the standard delay now has an equivalent in each tap's input source slider, which we'll come to in just a second. Replacing send in the multitap is the amount parameter, which controls the tap's output volume. The real power of the multitap delay comes from using the more advanced options to shape the sound of each tap with the filtering controls and managing the input feeds. The input source slider controls how much of the original signal is fed into the selected tap. Likewise, when taps 2 to 4 are selected, the slider beneath this controls how much of the previous tap signal is fed into this tap. The drop-down menu to the right allows you to choose the filter used on this tap from 4 different types: low, high or band pass, or notch. Much like the dedicated filter devices, the parameters below control how the filter behaves and sounds. The next drop-down menu actually sets the filter's position in the signal path, providing a huge amount of control over how it affects the sound within this tap. So, it's important to know what each option does. As you might imagine, off just turns the filter off completely. Input does not affect the original sound, but instead filters the input audio as it's entering the tap. This means it's only applied once, as opposed to the feedback method, which continually filters the sound each time it is echoed. In and feed combines the effects of input and feedback. Output affects the audio leaving the tap, so although it's only filtered once, you can change the filter settings to affect the feedback non-destructively. Unlike the other methods. We've already covered output panning, but the ping pong toggle underneath is another feature that needs to be properly explained. When on, the left and right feedback delays play as normal for the first echo. But then they move to the opposite delay channel, using its length, feedback and panning settings. As long as ping pong is enabled, the audio will keep swapping back and forth like this every time it echoes. And finally, if you ever need to stop all of the audio being produced by this device immediately, just hit the No Panic button. The one with the nice skull on it.